Probably undo the belt just because it's got tension on it. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, this old hot rod. It's still Saturday. It is now after lunchtime, and I'm still working on the car. So what I ended up doing, I got the windshield in, I got the header built. Hold on, change the angle of the dangle. Here we go. So we got the windshield in, the windshield header all mocked up, welded in place. I ended up lifting the body off. So I lifted the body off. There were some things I wanted to change because I rolled the car out the other day and I realized the wheel wasn't centered on the rear wheel well, and it really bothered me. In the video you'll hear that. I say I'm really not happy with it. So I ended up cutting the floor structure out of the back of the car just a little bit, just 2 pieces. I undid the body mounts on the back of the car. The front body mounts are obsolete right now because I had to remove the Model A crossmember for the transmission to install the new transmission mount. Now at this point the body's just sitting on the chassis, but what I ended up doing is I ended up relieving the firewall. Additionally, I ended up having to slide the body forwards 2 inches. So what that did was it centered the wheel well, the wheel arch over the rear wheel. I really didn't like the look, and it was bothering me big time, so I said I have to fix it. That being said, that being done, I remounted the body mounts, so now the body's resecured in the back of the car. I have not done anything with the front body mounts because I need to get more stock. But what I ended up doing was I took the stock that I had to cut out of the floor structure in the back of the car, and I reused it in the front of the car at my footwells flanking the transmission. So I'm going to pop you guys off the tripod, or maybe, you know what, I'll just use my phone. I'll show you guys what I ended up doing there. That's all welded and tacked. It's kind of tacked in place. I really can't finish weld it because I don't have access to it until I lift the body up. So that's done. I got the firewall relieved. I'm not going to start working on this quite yet. What I'm going to do at the moment right now, I think I'm going to get to work on mocking up my radiator and my grill shell. So last week you noticed that I rolled the car out and it had a 3031 grill shell and an old radiator on it. That probably would be fine to sell the car with. You know, most people would be happy with it. I think the benefit to having a 32 grill shell is just the look. It's what people like. And I like that style grill shell also. So I ended up buying a reproduction 32 grill shell and an aluminum radiator. On one of the videos, on the video when I mocked up and installed the motor with the motor mounts, someone commented and said, your next problem is going to be your radiator and fan. Well, it's not a problem. There are no problems, I don't think, as far as building a hot rod. You're always going to come across something where, you know, things don't fit. That's part of building a hot rod. But there's always a solution. You just have to be willing to kind of think outside the box. A lot of guys, you know, back in the day, they would run a grill shell. Some guys never even had a grill shell. They just had a radiator. And they would sit a little high in the nose. I don't like that look. I like to have the radiator and grill shell follow the rake of the body, the rake of the side profile of the car. So what I'm going to do is, today we're going to mock up the radiator and the 32 reproduction grill shell. What I ended up doing, I found a spacer for my fan. The spacer that I had on the car is a 2-inch spacer. It's a General Motors spacer. It's a fan blade spacer that goes off of the front pulley from the water pump. I'm not a General Motors guy, so I don't know all the different things, you know, options and different things like that as far as these cars go. But someone had mentioned, hey, look online, you'll probably find different spacer. They made different thicknesses. So sure enough, I jump on eBay and I found a spacer. It is 1 inch and 3/16 versus 2 inches. So what I ended up doing, I went through my hardware and I found 3 nuts and I stacked 3 of them together and measured, and sure enough, 1 3/16 inch having the 3 nuts. So I use those as spacers for my fan blade. So my fan blade right now is sitting essentially where it's going to be. Once that spacer comes in, it'll probably be here sometime next week. Now I have the position of my fan and how far forwards my fan's going to be. Now I need to get the radiator situated. Where the fan is right now, if I don't trim the fan blades, the fan will hit the lower radiator tube. So that's what we're going to work on today. I'm going to show you guys how to alleviate or remedy that issue, and I'm going to show you guys the solution to that. So a little bit of a long-winded intro, but that's what we're doing, working on the radiator and the grill shell. Let's go. Alright, so let's show you guys. Alright guys, so this is the radiator I'm going to be working with today. Found this on eBay. It was $100. Nothing fancy, like I said, it's a $100 radiator through eBay. It's got a transmission cooler on the bottom, which the person who buys this car is going to need. I have the lines for the transmission, they go with it, so you should just be able to hook them right up to this radiator. What we're going to do, this radiator is going to sit right here. As I just said, if I were to leave this radiator here, it's a little high, so once the grill shell is on, the grill shell is going to be a little bit higher than what I want it to be. So I need to lower it. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick. Not a lot of people do this, but I do. So what we're going to end up doing today on today's video is we're going to section this front cross member. And the reason why we're going to do that, I want to get the radiator sitting about 1 inch lower. And the reason I need to do it is, there's 2 reasons. There's 1 reason because I need to, there's 2nd reason because I want to. The first reason because I need to is, I need the fan blade to clear the lower radiator hose, or the tube that comes off the radiator. Because the fan is the length it is, it's going to interfere with the lower hose. So what I need to do is I need to lower the radiator. The height of the radiator, it's plenty high. I'm not going to have any interference with the hose and the top of the fan blade up on the top radiator tube. It's just the lower. So that's the reason why I have to do this. Instead of moving the radiator out and having that goofy look where the radiator is too far away from the fan or it looks stretched out, I don't like that look. I like proportions to be the way they're supposed to be. So I'm going to lower it because of the hose. But the other reason I want to lower it is because I don't like the look of a tall grill shell. I like the look to follow the grill shell and the radiator, to follow the rake of the body and the body lines. You know, it takes a little while to get those proportions right, but it's worth it in the end with the final look of the car. I don't know the exact distance where the grill shell is going to be with the hood in relation to, say, like a stock hood. I don't know. I don't have those measurements, but I'm going to get it so it looks pretty close. It should be pretty close, so who knows, maybe in the future if someone finds a hood for this, they can maybe run a stock hood, I don't know. Or build a hood themselves for it. But, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to just double check my measurements on this front cross member, get everything set where it needs to be, make sure my measurements are good, and I'm going to get these 2 little pockets cut out, and get this radiator sitting 1 inch lower, and we'll get it drilled, some holes drilled, and get the thing bolted up and see how it looks. I'm going to remove this fan. Because it doesn't need to be on there while I'm cutting, and it's probably going to end up being in my way. This is the stock factory spacer, that's 2 inches, so the one I got is 1 3/16 inches, so it's about 3/4 of an inch shorter, which works out perfectly. Now someone had mentioned, oh, you can run a different crank pulley. I'm sure you can, but there's no reason for me to buy one. I'm not going to keep this car, so if the next person wants to buy a single or a double groove crank pulley, by all means, feel free. Alright, let's grab my protective equipment, and I'm going to get these areas cut out, and we'll get some new pads fabricated to mount the radiator on, and we'll drop this radiator down. It ought to go pretty quick. Alright, now we're ready to go. Making sure they're the same So that's how you section a front cross member. Can you see what I got going on here? Let me move the camera. How about now? There we go. Alright, so I didn't want to bore you guys with making a template. Everybody knows how to use scissors and cardboard at this point. We're adults. That's my template. What I'll do is when it comes time, I'll flip it over, reverse it, put it on the driver's side. But for now, let's work on the passenger side. So that's it there. I have some boxing plate material that I didn't end up using. I think I got it from someone. 3/16 plate. Same thickness as the cross member. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just transfer this over onto that. Get it cut out. I'll make 2 of them. I'll get these welded in place. I'll get the radiator just set here for now. I still need to get a mounting kit. So that's like the bolt with the springs and everything. I may have a set floating around the shop, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to probably order another set. I should have ordered some last week and forgot. I have some rubber pads that I'll use for my radiator that'll sit on top of the metal just to give it a little bit of insulation between the metal. So let's get this mocked up. I'll get this all traced out, and we'll get it cut out and bent up and welded onto the car. Alright, let's get these cut out of this. I'm going to go over onto my table, fab table, get this clamped in the vise, get these cut out, get these bent up. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably just running my grinding wheel along these fold lines. I don't have anything that will fold 3/16 plate. So I'll get these all cut out, get all those grooves marked where they need to, get them bent over in the vise or with a hammer, and then get everything set in place, fine tune it if I need to, get everything cleaned up around the outside edges, and then get these welded in place. And that's going to be it for me for the day. So we'll get 2 videos one day. That way, this one's going to go this way. This is the driver's side. I'll bend up the passenger side in a few minutes. Let's go see if it fits. Pretty close. I got a little bit of tweaking to do. That's pretty close. Let me grab my cutoff wheel. I gotta just open that up just a little bit. Alright, I'm going to just go fine tune this real quick and see if we can get this side in, tacked in place, and we'll get the other side done and get the radiator set. Alright, so I've done a little bit of fine tuning to this. I could probably go over it, sand it up, a little bit, some burrs here and there on it, but I'll do that after it's welded. I'm just going to get this tack welded in place. So what I ended up doing was I ended up relieving this back edge so it tucks underneath the cross member. It kind of locks in, kind of fits in here like a puzzle piece, like that. So I got a nice edge to weld here. I can weld across the back and then weld across the top. I'm going to get this probably cleaned up a little bit. There's a little bit of a radius on the front edge of the cross member. I'll get it tacked in place. I'll grab a grinder, clean up this edge, make it match the radius on the front of the cross member, and then I'll get it welded in place after. But I'm going to get the passenger side done right afterwards. So now you can see the difference between the stock cross member, which was this, and the aftermarket. So you gain an inch, lowering it down an inch. So there's no problems in hot rod building, there's always solutions. We've all heard that before, right? Alright guys, so this is the 2 pads for the radiator just set in place, just tacked in place. These are my little insulator pads, my little rubber insulators. So depending on exactly where the radiator falls, will determine where these are obviously going to go. I need to order my radiator mounting kit. I'll do that today. Now obviously the grill shell's not mounted to this radiator. I wouldn't do that till the radiator was on anyways. That's it. So that is the radiator now. And I should have plenty of clearance with my fan. Now this radiator also can move out. It can go out about a ½ an inch from the back if I have to, maybe a little more. But for the time being, I'm just going to set it right there. So what I'll end up needing to do, let me grab my, so you can get up close and personal with it. So you can see how low the radiator is now channeled into the front cross member. So that's a solution to all you guys that are having issues with your fan clearance, and then also running a radiator where it looks too tall for the cowl. You want a nice rake coming down from the cowl to the top of the radiator. And at this point now, that should give me the look I'm going for. Now, I don't have my fan blade on at the moment, but that should give me clearance here. So this is obviously now an inch lower than it was before. You can see my lines for my cooling, for my transmission fluid. Plenty of room there. So I'll remove this. So I'm going to show you guys the name of the brand that I bought for a radiator. That's the brand. Found this on eBay. I believe the total height of the radiator is 22 inches roughly. So for a 6-inch channeled hot rod, I mean, you know, everyone does different things. I like this particular look the way I'm building this car. You can see, I'll show you the pads. So these are my little insulators. So that's what it looks like up close. Now obviously things are just tacked in place. Nothing's completely welded yet. But that's what it looks like. Now I shouldn't have any issue as far as clearance from my spring. Plenty of room there. I mean, this spring right now is weighted with the motor and everything. The only thing that's really not on here is the fluid in the radiator. Everything else is where it's going to be. So, my insulators. Set my radiator in place, and that's it. So that's it, guys. That's how you section a Model A front cross member to lower your radiator. Okay, everyone, that's it. That's how you section a Model A front cross member to lower your radiator down on your hot rod. So if you're building a channeled hot rod, or, you know, depending on, you know, maybe it's not channeled, maybe it's just a 28, 29. Those have a smaller grill shell. You may need to lower it. I did the exact same thing on that car that I did on this car. So I removed the raised up pads, the elevated pads for the radiator mount, and I just made my own an inch lower. So that's a little bit of a trick for all you guys out there building Model A's, putting in small blocks or whatever it is you're doing. It could be a flathead, it makes no difference. Radiators are kind of a tough hurdle, let's call it. They're a hurdle to get over when you're building these cars. And you know, we all build these cars, we want the look, and a nice lower radiator that goes with the rake of the car is the look we're all going for. Back in the day it wasn't as much of a thing, I don't think, but nowadays it has to be Instagram worthy. This is Instagram worthy. Well, soon it will be as soon as I get the grill shell on. But I'm gonna have to relieve the grill shell so it sits back over the front cross member. I'll get this radiator mounted, then I'll get my grill shell mounted to the radiator, and then I have to build myself a couple of radiator stay support rods. Well, as you can see, I decided to mount the reproduction 32 grill shell and radiator. I just finished up doing my radiator mounts on my cross member, and I was cleaning up the shop, and I figured, you know what the heck, I might as well. So I'm gonna re-wrap up the video with the grill shell. Now obviously this is just a China special, both of them I think, and you know, they don't always fit the way, you know, the original stuff does, but you get what you pay for type of deal, as we all know. But for what this car is, I think, like I had said in an earlier video, I'm just probably going to prime everything or hit everything with a red oxide primer. There's just self-tapping screws in this holding it here for now, and that's how I'll leave the grill shell connected to the radiator. I'll do a mount kit for the radiator with the springs, and I'll drill it with the bolts and everything, but as far as the grill shell to the radiator goes, for now, I'll let the next guy deal with it. It looks the part. So that's it, everyone. I just want to show you guys the updated grill shell. It kind of had a little bit of a peak to it, so I just kind of leaned on it. It was sitting a little bit higher than I wanted it to. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good. Once it's all one color, it'll really look nice. So what I'll end up doing is I'll probably mask off this chrome strip. I'll remove the insert, paint this insert the cream color, same as the wheels, and then the firewall. I'll do the firewall cream also. And then the rest of the car, who knows, maybe I'll do it black. I don't know. Everyone seems to like black hot rods. That's it. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, I appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great day, and get out to your garage. Get to work on your own stuff. Everyone says I motivate them. I hope that's the case. Hopefully you're able to, you know, health-wise, you're able to get out and work on your own projects, no matter what it is. Volkswagens or whatever the deal. So that's it, everyone. I appreciate it again for everyone following along. Thanks for all your support. Appreciate all the kind words, the compliments, and you know, just everything. And thanks to the people recently who have been on the website. I don't mention it much. I do have a website, thisoldhotrod.com. I created it. It's just a place for me to sell my merchandise. So I got hoodies, beanies, trucker hats, regular hats, a bunch of different t-shirts, and I think I've got some punched brass louvered key fobs up there, and a few other cool things. So go check it out, thisoldhotrod.com, and thanks everyone who's recently subscribed. I appreciate it. See you guys on the next one. Bye bye.